Hello, and welcome to Navigating the Unstructured Data Maze. Your journey starts here. Today's exciting webinar is sponsored by Rubrik and produced by Actual Tech Media. My name is Mackenzie Puddesy with Actual Tech Media, and I'm excited to be your moderator for this special presentation today about the challenge and the gold mine that is unstructured data. Organizations are grappling with massive amounts of unstructured data, potentially petabytes stored on NAS systems. That data is chaotic, challenging to manage, and vulnerable to cyber threats. While unstructured data may not seem business critical, it could contain vital and sensitive information for hackers to target. Numerous applications access and store unstructured data across healthcare, financial services, media and entertainment, higher education, and many more industries. Just backing up that unstructured data will not suffice. You need a cyber resiliency strategy. That is why the experts at Rubrik are here today to fill you in on best practices to make use of this technology. This is going to be such a cool conversation, and I can't wait to get started. So let's zip through the housekeeping, and then we'll get things on our way. First, I want to draw your attention to the questions section of your webinar console. This is the best place to get involved, get interactive, and post all your insightful questions, comments, feedback, and ideas. We indeed do want to hear from you. So find that questions tab now, and let's start out by saying hi, hello, aloha, bonjour, hola, or whatever greeting you would like to say. And welcome. Give a shout out to the community. So excited to see you all here today on a Friday. Now, don't forget, this is also the window that is going to be the best place to reach out and let us know if you have any technical issues during the session. Knock on wood, of course, that doesn't happen. But don't forget that a browser refresh should get rid of all the usual glitches and tech gremlins. But if not, you can shoot a message in that questions tab, and the Actual Tech Media crew and I will be here to help. And the last thing I want to point out on your audience console is the handouts tab. Go check out some cool resources and follow-ups to our conversation today because it is just packed with great information. You're going to find in there an ebook from Rubrik titled Solving the Unstructured Data Challenge, as well as a link to begin your unstructured data quest. Super cool resources, so click in there now, save them for later because you will not regret having them in your arsenal. And if all that cool content wasn't enough of a sweet giveaway, we also have a $250 Amazon gift card as a prize drawing at the end of our webinar. Of course, you must be in attendance during the live event to qualify for the prize, and all winners must meet the Actual Tech Media prize terms and conditions. If you're not sure what those are, you can find those full T's and C's linked in the handouts tab as well. Okay, well, that is it for the housekeeping. I told you I would keep it short and sweet, and now we are ready to start today's webinar. I am so excited to introduce you all to Srujana Puttagunta. She is the Senior Product Marketing Manager over at Rubrik, and we have Chris Bork. He is a specialist of unstructured data at Rubrik. This is going to be such a fantastic session with Srujana, providing us a lay of the land of the current data market, and Chris providing a live demo of how Rubrik can help tackle the challenges of unstructured data. I'm so looking forward to this, so I'm going to hand things right over to you two. Take it away, Srujana and Chris.
Hello and welcome to our webinar, Navigating the Unstructured Data Maze. Thank you all for joining. My name is Srujana and I'm a Product Marketing Manager at Rubrik, and I'm joined by my colleague Chris, who's our Regional Director of Unstructured Data.
How you doing? Pleasure to be here. So my name is Chris Burke. Been at Rubrik for over 2 years now. I came over, from an unstructured data storage platform, and now I've been leading this team for the last 6 months. So looking forward to the discussion.
Thank you, Chris. We are super excited to have you all here, and we can't wait to take you through the presentation. So in today's session, we'll dive into the current market landscape surrounding unstructured data. We'll look at some of the challenges our customers commonly face when protecting NAS data, And we'll also talk about some of the essential capabilities that are necessary to tackle these challenges. And then I'll pass it over to Chris, who will provide an in-depth overview of NAS Cloud Direct, and as well as a live demo of the functionalities. So let's get started. So what's happening in the market today? A recent survey conducted by Rubrik Zero Labs indicates that data volumes are going to skyrocket over the next 5 years and potentially increasing by 7 times. And according to IDC, approximately 90% of this data will be unstructured. And a significant portion of that data could contain sensitive information, such as PII, protected health information, financial records, and so much more. So now more than ever, organizations need a solution to protect their unstructured data from cyber attacks. All right, let's look at how unstructured data shows up in everyday situations. Unstructured data plays a very important role in various industries. In fact, it is the lifeblood of organizations, and it houses a significant amount of sensitive information. For example, healthcare organizations generate vast volumes of unstructured data that includes patient records, x-rays, lab work, and health research data, etc. And the financial services sector heavily relies on unstructured data, and that could include high-frequency trading, customer banking information, etc. And then if you look at the education sector, it also produces huge amounts of unstructured data, such as student and faculty records to coursework and highly funded research. And there's several more industries like this that generate highly sensitive data, and protecting this data and ensuring its availability is very important for these businesses to maintain its continuity. All right. So what is the big challenge that organizations are facing when it comes to protecting their unstructured data? The challenge is that many organizations are still using traditional methods for protecting unstructured data. However, these methods are outdated and they come with security risks. One of the traditional methods for handling large unstructured data sets is to snap and replicate. And this typically involves creating snapshots of data and then replicating those snapshots to another location within the same data center or to a remote site. And it's a strategy that's commonly used for disaster recovery. But if there's a malware or a bad code in the data, copying it just duplicates the problem. And then this approach also presents further security risks because the immutability needs to be configured and there's a lack of air gapping or separation from the production environment. Another traditional approach is NDMP, or Network Management Protocol, Network Data Management Protocol. And this is often very slow and it lacks the performance needed, especially as data scales up. And it's also complex to manage, and it lacks the sufficient security controls to defend against cyber attacks. And then we have tape. Tape backup solutions are also complex to manage, and they frequently fail to meet the desired recovery time objectives, and that leads to delays in the data recovery process. And all of these solutions come with high costs, and they fail to keep up with the data growth and cybersecurity demands. And so what we actually need is a data protection solution that can scale to meet the demands of unstructured data growth, and a solution that is performance efficient to handle petabytes of data and secure the data against cyber attacks. So imagine having a solution that was designed for managing and protecting large-scale unstructured files and objects efficiently. And that's where Rubrik NAS Cloud Direct comes in. NAS Cloud Direct is a software solution that can protect unstructured data at massive scale. And it offers super high performance and protection against ransomware. And we're talking about the ability to protect and manage petabytes of data and billions of files and objects. And the solution can scan, index, and move large volumes of data at more than 10x the speed of legacy backup. And it doesn't just stop there. It provides cyber resilience capabilities, and it offers valuable insights into the safety and security of the data. So let's find out how it's done. I'm now going to hand it over to Chris, who will walk you through the solution. Over to you, Chris.
Thank you so much. All right, so we just had a great understanding of like the challenge and the problems that we see in unstructured data. The next thing we usually see is like unstructured data can be very complex. There's a lot of silos of data that lives in many different organizations from many different departments. And so right there creates a lot of volume or a lot of data that can be live in research and just corp IT or in any customer data hosting. Now, through years of acquisition of hardware and software. And so we look to set out to build a truly agnostic platform, and that can handle all different file and object data types, whether it's cloud-based or whether it's on your data center. And so our platform, our IP, is just a stateless virtual machine that has a truly SaaS control plane that will not store the data, but just move it and manage the data, providing that true backup. And so the core IP of our data set, or our platform, is that we built our own NFS and SMB and S3 clients. So we're no longer as chatty as the normal protocols. We just go after the metadata we're looking for to then know what we have to back up or what we have to archive. The goal here is to be able to handle all different file and object workloads from our customers, so that we're not saying, yep, you can use this tool for that one, this tool for that one. No, it's a single platform that can be deployed anywhere they want to find all your data sets and at any scale. One customer example, we have a customer with just 8 petabytes in one location, very small files. They had 120 billion objects across 8 petabytes. We were able to ingest that and index that volume of data in that first month of deployment. All right, moving on to the next one. So speed. Everyone talks about speed. Speed can be great. It can be a differentiating factor, whether if you're trying to back up your data today with NDMP, speed can be how fast the data can move between locations. And so the core of our platform is around the speed and performance, and then the simplicity of it. And so the 3 pillars that we have, you'll find in all NAS protection or NAS backups, or even NAS snap and replicate. What are they going to do? They're going to scan the data, then we're going to index it, and we're going to move it. Well, all 3 of those are independent jobs of other technologies. With us, with this NAS Cloud Direct, we take all 3 of those functions and make it a parallel, and they do all jobs in parallel. So do it all in parallel, it means we're reducing the amount of time it takes to handle a backup or a scan job at scale with customers. The scan engine, as that scan data, it identifies a new copy of data or a new block of data, immediately starts moving that. Once it lands, we then commit it to our index. All 3 of these functions in our technology are patented, and they are our IP. And so this is what we've noticed, like our customers are struggling with. Like, how do I do this in the first place? I didn't think it was possible. This is what these portions right here, this is what we created to make it happen. And lastly, so usually when we talk, it's more of like, okay, like I haven't backed up my unstructured data because I didn't think it was possible. Well, that accomplishing the first goal is what we do on those first 2, the volume and the speed, being able to accomplish a large volume or petabyte scale of backups. Well, what we're seeing in the marketplace today is the attacks of the cyber attacks that are happening in organizations are no longer just happening on their VMs, on their applications. They're happening on the unstructured data side and the file systems, because 1, it's on the network. 2, there's hundreds of applications that are writing to the system, and it has a lot of critical data to it. So what we've addressed, and similar to other, like the rubric motion as a whole, is how can we be cyber resilient? And how can we help our customers achieve cyber resiliency across all their data, not just a subset, everything they've now figured out or realized it is important to them. And so that zero trust data protection, think of that as our ability to back up and archive this data. Now, the next steps, the next 3 operators are what are additional differentiators, where in line, as we're scanning billions of files and petabytes of data, we're doing that anomaly detection through our own ransomware investigation tool we built with our own models. We're able to identify not just like high change rate of data, we're actually be able to use with Zero Trust Labs, like what encryptions or what new attackers are coming to the market, and use that to identify any like ransomware vulnerabilities or risk across all this data. And on top of that, as we mentioned at the start, there's a lot of sensitive data that lives in your unstructured data. Previously, it was just a dumping grounds. Everyone put everything there. But now it's like, oh, wow, there's a lot of it in there and I have no idea. Imagine looking through thousands of snapshots to find where the sensitive data lives. That is a daunting task that we don't want any of our customers or potential customers to have to do. And so that's what our platform does, is as we're backing up the data, we're able to run the sensitive data scans and monitoring to identify specifically which sensitive data is important to you and where it lives across all your backups. And from there, we can help you remediate the risk of having that accessible on the network or in open shares. So all three of them together is saying, taking the ability to back the data up, be able to handle, to identify ransomware attacks, and then also tell you where your sensitive data lives, all comes into to the NAS Cloud Direct platform. All right, how do we do it? And so usually what customers have is buy more storage. Just add some more hardware over there. We sought to do things differently. Than customers have seen before. And so what we offer is just a stateless virtual machine. And so this virtual machine will live in your data center or in your cloud VPC. And so what it does, it will live near the file or object data. And from there, it is the data mover. And so this VM can scale linearly. So a single VM does around 5 gigabits a second of throughput. 4 VMs together, you achieve 20 gigs a second. So this is a high-powered engine, doesn't have anything on it. And so other technologies you'll see, your index lives right on the VM in your data center. Well, that falls to the customer to back up and protect it. So we deliver just a stateless VM with a SaaS control plane that we protect for customers so that you have the ability to then redeploy VMs in different sites and still have access to your SaaS control plane to restore data and continue to back up data. The whole goal is for us to simplify that and also reduce costs. And so this VM will then compress the data as well before we're backing it up, as well as be incremental forever. So we're not adding additional cost to an organization, whether it's on-prem costs or cloud costs. All right. So we talked a little bit about the anomaly detection. So here is more of what we're scanning for. The anomaly detection, we're doing it in line on the backup copy of data. Other technologies will say, hey, let's do it on your production data. That adds more load, more strain on the systems. We do it in line as the data is passing through the VM. So we're looking for backup deltas. We're going to be able to detect the anomalies and any mass encryption or deletion events. What this can offer in that single pane of glass is the ability to find the root cause, find where that data set, that ransomware attack has infiltrated, what files have been encrypted. So when you try to do recovery, you're not going through every snapshot. You can easily click and find where the clean copy of data is from that point in time and restore that to the same place or even to a new location. And so if we're able to help identify this automatically for our customers, we are knowing that we're reducing the amount of time it takes to sift through all your data and knowing that you're not reinfecting yourself or bringing that malware back into your environment that you just cleaned. And next we'll talk about the sensitive data scanning. And so this is for any regulated industries or industries that have a lot of users using different data sets. We're able to identify with 78 stock scans that we have, plus any scan that you want to run based on what type of data is important and critical to your business. And so as we back up the data, we'll classify that. And then then you can search and find where that data is and who has access and who has access control and visibility to this data. Now, one quick example. So we were doing a POC for a customer. It was just 10 terabytes. They wanted to see how this actually worked. They're like, you know what? Here's 10 terabytes of data. They gave us the data set. We ran it through the scanner. Well, it immediately reported they have 56,000 records that have the sensitive data information in it. And when that happened, we showed the report. They stopped the POC. They're like, we have to go back right now. We have to do some mitigation and just locking down some of those data sets. After the fact, they came back a month later. And they're like, okay, let's really test this. Let's test this data set. This proved things that we don't even know existed. We didn't know this data was out there. And you guys showed us this with just this 10 terabyte POC. And so now they are a customer of Rubrik using this technology as a paramount of how they have controls and they have limit the visibility and the risk that they have of exposing sensitive information on the network and to other users. All right, so let's bring it all together. And so one thing I usually like to see and talk about is just hey, how can we accomplish what we think is unaccomplishable? Backing up and protecting our unstructured data. time and time again over the last couple of years, I'm talking to customers that didn't think this was possible. And so a solution like this is thinking about things differently and building a technology that can do things that other technologies can't. The ability to scan and protect and back up your unstructured data. And so what we looked at too is like, how can we take the next step and offer the security to it too? So at Rubrik, we are all in on cyber resiliency and how we can help customers and organizations become cyber resilient across all their data. And so here we're achieving 1, the ability to back up your data, 2, to give you visibility across it, and 3, be able to recover this data in the event of attack. Oh, by the way, if we can save you 15%, that's great as well too. And we usually do. All right, this is something that's near and dear and exciting to my heart right now. And I am excited about unstructured data, but unstructured data isn't just your file data; it is your objects. Now, 3 years ago, if you're like, "Hey, I have an object storage, or I use S3," that's great. There's a dumping ground. There's your archive target. It was just like, you know what? I don't need any more. Let me just push it over to an object storage S3. Well, what's changed is that object storage, like cloud-based object storage buckets, and also on-prem, have gotten a lot more performant. There's all flash object storage today. And so no longer are customers saying it's a dumping grounds. It's actually easier to write new applications that write to S3 because it can scale so large, but actually it now has critical data. It is for production workloads. And so we have customers now asking like, hey, how do I back up this S3 data? Well, we came to market and we have this platform that we're really excited about, and we're seeing a lot of traction early on, is that, hey, I need to back up my object data, whether it's on-prem S3 or cloud-based or in the cloud, S3 in the cloud. Doesn't matter. The same high-performance scan engine with however large your bucket of data is, we can scan it, index it, and then back up the data. It's a little different with S3, but we accomplish the same goals of being able to back up this data in the SLA you're looking for. Still with the same scale we see with file data. All right, let's get in the platform. Let's just quickly go through and walk through the system. So we're in the UI. Same UI as you'll see with the rest of Rubrik. I have it in light mode right now for my eyes, but let's look at it. If this is a demo lab, if you were going to just initially pop into this, it would be nothing here. So in our lab, we have a generic S3, we have PowerScale, NetApp, multiple different file systems environments. Upon getting the system or getting the UI, we'll then add a system. And so here we have all the options. And so whether it's like a brand name or an OEM that we know, we'll have an API integration with. Even if it's not, it's a Windows file server or BGFS or whatever file services you're using, it doesn't matter. As long as it's NFS, SMB, or S3, we can then scan it, index, and back it up. Now, as you can see, we also have API integration with cloud native file systems as well too. We're seeing that come up a lot more. The whole goal is to show you the flexibility. It doesn't matter to us. So upon picking your system, let's use this one. We'll put in a fully qualified domain name, and then it's going to ask you for root user credentials and access one time. This is for us specifically for the PowerScale Isilon. We create a backup user. After we create a user, we then delete these credentials and don't hold on to them. Once we have these credentials, we'll then click continue. We start scanning. Once everything's scanned, you'll see all the shares popping up down here. Now you find a share you want, go over here. You'll then add a policy to it. I'll show you how to make policies. You add your protection policy, you click apply, and then you're off to the races. As you can see, we've been continually, this little circle will denote that it is being actively protected, and you'll see what the backup is and where it's going to, and also the last sync. And so once we have our shares, we identified that, we just need to make a policy. So create a policy. Very simple. As you can see, we have many different policies. You can have unlimited number of policies in your environment. So when you create a policy, you have two options. That'll be the archive or the backup. So the difference between those will be the backup will be on a schedule and it'll be set to run on a cadence that you're looking for. The archive will be just that one-time manual. I have a lot of data. I need to archive it and move it somewhere, move it to a different target. So the backup, you can change the naming convention to however you want. Set your timing, whether it's daily, twice a day, or never, and you select your destination. So let's pull this one in Azure. We'll have a bucket that you create, or we can create one for you. Then you'll select your tier. So we'll have this one right to Azure Hot, and we'll keep this for 30 days. And we can set this back up to start at 7 p.m. So here's a policy. Now, there's different parameters to policies that you create. Sometimes people need access to this data. And so what we can also do in the platform is add 2 different rules for a single share or a single policy. And so this policy, let's say let's run weekly. We need to keep this data for more of an archive purpose. And so what we're going to do is we are going to write this one to AWS and this bucket, and then we're going to write this one to Glacier Deep Archive directly. That's a key point to make. So one thing about this platform is we don't leverage any lifecycle policy management in the cloud or add more costs. We can write directly to any tier of the cloud, any tier of any cloud you're looking for. And for this, since one of the coldest target, we're going to have this retention for 7 years. So what does this policy do with 2 rules? This ensures that this allows you to make 2 copies of a single share and write to 2 separate locations with 2 different retention times. So when you go to restore the data, if it's within that 30 days, you can restore it from the hot tier at Azure and have little egress charges and a lot faster RPO and RTO. And then if it's past the 30 days, you can go to this Glacier Deep Archive and recover that bit of data. Now, let's do the policy. You can see we have many policies here. We go back to the systems, and then we will find it and add a policy to it. And let's see, let's do this one. So this one will apply. From there, it is set to run. To run that policy and run that job. You can either run the policy now, or you can restore data from the share, or you can run the policy now, or we'll run it at the set time. You can also add backup exclusions. Let's say you have a large share and you don't want to back up all of it, not a problem. You'll just go into the backup exclusions. You'll denote the path of the hash you're looking to take out, and you're able to add that, exclude that from that backup. I won't get into the copy now, but this is something that I like this a lot. So once we have a backup job running, you can then look in your activities. And so in the activities, you can then filter through all completed jobs, whether it's archive, backup, or discover or restore. You can set the location. You can search a single file system or just all of them. And then the status, you can see where it's active, completed, failed, or canceled. And so right now, it takes 13 seconds. I can just rerun this job. Once it clicks off, then it'll go in queue. And then once it happens, then it's scanning. It's in the job queue right now. Once it kicks off, you'll see actually seeing it, and you'll actually be able to look at the files that are being transferred. So I will let that one sit. Oh, it's actually in progress already. And we can see the eye that pops up. We can see the files that are being queued, that are being skipped, because nothing's changed in this because it's just run. And see the job was completed again. So very simple. I know this happened just a couple minutes ago, but just show you how quick it is, how live the feedback. We also have a newer version that's more akin to it just looks better. And so you can see all the jobs. You can see what happened, see any jobs that failed or that completed with errors. You can go look at that. Now, a portion of the platform that I think caters to the performance that we have in terms of our indexing capabilities is our data search. And so this data search, you can then filter, say, file name, it's cat. Do we have any cats? Okay, we have cats there. And then if we want to path cats, and let's go .mov, cat movies. Oh, we have some cat file name cat movies. Okay, .mov is cats. So you can easily find all the data that you're looking for very simply. These are your index backups. When we look through it, if you want to add any file name filters, it's not a problem for us. At the same time, as you find that bit of data, we can see if we click on that portion where it's coming from, and this will show all the versions. So we only have one version here. If this has been backed up many times, we'll see all the versions coming up here. You can click on that and then restore it. When you restore the data, you can restore it to the same location, or you can specify a different location. So if we backed up this Cumulo, we can restore it to this NetApp, not a problem. We can even restore it to a system that we've never even scanned before. So as long as we enter the IP of the host name, the export and share, we can then back it up to a whole different location. Why is this important? Well, customers of ours today have on-prem file workloads. They're backing it up to the cloud. In the event of a disaster, they don't want to restore it back to the same place. So their restore path is to an FSX share or a file share in the cloud. that's completely acceptable, and many customers doing that today. And then lastly, we look at the cloud settings. Here we have the ability to throttle any WAN. I've talked about how fast and performant this system is. Like what we show is be able to throw all the WAN, so we're not consuming everything. We will use as much of the pipe as you want, but you can throttle it down to use only what you need. And lastly, if you want to download the VM artifacts, this is self-service. So if you're like, you know what, we have some more pipe right now, we want to boost this engine up, you can just download another VM with any hypervisor you're looking for, and then deploy that. It'll connect, and then it'll increase your performance. Now, the last thing I want to show is separate from backing up your data, is on the data visibility. So regardless if we're backing up your data or not, we'll still scan that entire file system. And what this will show you is all the last modified and last access time of this data. We'll even build that index database. You can search for all your data with multiple, one or all these different filters. Using this allows you to find where that cold data lives. In the unstructured data world, we usually find that a lot of data has just been sitting there cold for years, but no one knows where it is, if that employee is still there, and they don't know what to do with it. So we can find all that cold data, and from there you can customize the time ranges that are beneficial for you, and then it'll automatically figure out where the data is. So if we look and want to find the active data, okay, we have 155 gigabytes, and you can drill down very quickly where that data lives. So here's in this right here, we'll drill down to see where this PAL to NFS is. All right, you know what? I don't want this, so I'm going to archive this out. And so from this UI, you're able to archive the data anywhere you want, as well as create a live view, or even copy the path, or create a live view, or create a share for any users. Like, you know what? You have 200 terabytes in your share, hasn't been touched 3 years. Here's a view of this. We need to clean this data up. This will help more on the data management side, so how you can reduce what you're spending on your production storage. So all in all, I hope this was very simple and easy. The goal of this is to just be a simple way to back up your data. Now, anyone that's familiar with Rubrik understands our ransomware detection, sensitive data discovery. All that will be in the same place. And so we have our threat analysis, and this is what we're looking at for all the systems and files. And then after that, we can go back into the UI, but that's all I had for the demo. So just looking at this is a product that was acquired by Rubrik over 3 years ago. In the last 3 years, we've seen a tremendous growth in opportunity, tremendous growth in the need to back up this type of data. And so, as you can see, a lot of organizations, very large, and also in different verticals as well too. And so, what we're seeing here is the need is there. And so, if you have the need, we'd love to talk and go deeper in this. Whether it's from geospatial to healthcare to life sciences, there's a need because the world runs off data today.
Awesome. Thanks, Chris, for that wonderful demo and valuable insights. So I wanted to go through a few questions that we commonly see from our customers, and I'd love to hear your thoughts as a solution expert on these questions. And the first question that we commonly get is, I have a share over 1 billion files. Can NAS Cloud Direct handle that? And what would the performance look like?
Yeah, I mean, we have customers. That's a great question. I think it's been daunting to a lot of customers where they haven't thought it was possible. And so I usually like to show a slide that talks about how we're able to scan 1 billion files in less than 4 hours. And so the performance we see, it depends on how many VMs you want and how much data you have. We have not come across a customer that hasn't been able to ingest their data in a control plane. But one example, a single VM, 4+ petabytes, 1.1 billion files, we can scan and do an incremental backup of that in less than 4 hours. So
that's amazing. Thank you. And next question, what is the backup performance expectation when writing to an offline AWS deep archive tier or Azure archive tier?
Yeah, the performance that we see is going to be based off how much WAN that we have and then that target. And so if we're able to use multiple VMs and have like a 10 gig pipe, we can see we're still writing 50 terabytes, 100 terabytes of data per day. Depends on the VMs you have, but the clouds are very friendly and they want to ingest the data. So they let that happen extremely fast, and we'll write data as fast as possible.
Perfect. And how does restoring a backup from the cloud look like and the performance expectation for that?
Yeah, so restoring, as we saw in the UI, is as simple as identifying the share and the data that you're looking for, picking the target, clicking restore, following that. And the same principles apply too. And so we'll be more fast backing the data up, but the restore performance will be based on the tier of storage in the cloud or on-prem that it is. We are beholden to the restore performance from Glacier Deep Archive. But once that first byte happens, then we're using our performance and our engine to pull as much data as we can out of it.
Thank you, Chris, so much for that valuable insight. And as we wrap up our session today, I wanted to make sure that all of you have access to some valuable resources that can further enhance your understanding of unstructured data protection and NAS Cloud Direct. We have a great ebook available for you to explore. It talks about the 5 key steps to building a solid unstructured data strategy, and then how Rubrik can help you manage and protect your unstructured data. Please go check that out. And we also invite you to experience NAS Cloud Direct firsthand using our interactive demo. It's a fantastic opportunity to see the solution in action and understand its capabilities. All right, that brings us to the end of the session. Thank you so much, Chris. It's always a pleasure to have you. And thank you all so much for joining us today. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Incredible presentation by the Rubrik team. Thank you again, Srijana and Chris, for being here. Everyone out there, I hope you had as much fun and learned as much as I did. I do want to remind you that you can visit the handout section for the resources mentioned by Srijana there. You've got the ebook, Solving the Unstructured Data Challenge, and a link to begin your unstructured data quest. Really cool resources and really well done, I have to say. Stylistic, fun, interesting ways to explore this challenge. So definitely go check those out. For those of you who did send in some questions for the Rubrik team and they were not answered in the live chat there, do not fret. They're going to reach out after today's webinar and follow up with that, as well as any additional resources you might have requested. Okay, and before we wrap up, we have one more little bit of fun to add to an already awesome webinar, and that is a prize giveaway. A reminder that you must be present at the live webinar today to win. So hopefully your ears are perked up and you hear your name called just in a second. So drum roll, please, not please, but please. Today's winner of a $250 Amazon gift card is Kenneth Lim from Maryland. Congratulations to Kenneth. As always, we will be in touch about claiming your prize after today's webinar. And with that, on behalf of the Actual Tech Media team, I want to thank Rubrik for making this webinar possible. I want to thank our incredible speakers, Srijana and Chris, who have given us so much to think about today. And hey, I want to send some high fives and special thank yous to all of you out there in the audience for making today possible as well. I know often we can get caught up in the hustle and bustle of work, of the day, of the flow of the week, and we don't always take time to educate ourselves, to learn a bit more, strategize, think ahead. And I'm so glad that you did just that today. I'm hoping you feel excited and lit up and ready to take some of these things from today's webinar and maybe start implementing them at your organization or in your own kind of tech lives as you approach the data challenge. I know I've learned a lot from today's session, and I hope you have as well. And I cannot wait to see you all at another webinar again soon. Until then, have an absolutely magical day and enjoy your weekends, everyone. Take care.